So this is story 4. This is the story of Carter Kieboom. Carter is the Nationals' top prospect and one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He's a great baseball player, even better guy. Wow. This one's difficult for me because it spans multiple years again, in lots of different locations. Right? It's a little bit difficult, so I may jump back and forth and whatever, but hopefully I'll get it all in. And don't forget, so Carter was a Potomac National in 2018. That's where him and Abbie first met, and that's where they kind of started their relationship. At this point, Abbie is more focused on building relationships. He still likes autographs, not as much. She likes to get pictures with the players. She likes to line up cards and bats still, but her main goal is kind of building relationships with players. Just because previously we had relationships with Victor and some of the other players, and then when they get up there and make it to the pros, it's just different. It's different rooting for somebody, Spencer. It's different rooting for somebody when you have a personal connection with them. To look out and see somebody on that field and go, I know him. And it's different, and she really liked that. So her goal is to kind of build relationships with players. And also Carter, everybody tries to get Carter's autograph all the time, right? Because he's such a highly touted prospect. And she didn't want to be one of those people. There's nothing wrong with that. She doesn't mind him. We don't mind him. She didn't want to be lumped in with, somebody who wants something from Carter all the time. She just, wanted to know. She did get his autographs on the lineup cards because she'd like to get the whole team to sign those. And that's kind of where they first, started joking around with each other, because he would kind of give her a hard time about always having lineup cards. And then we're there every game, and so is he. So, you get to recognize people and get to know people, right? So, he got to know her. So they had a good relationship. I don't know, about halfway through the season, Carter got promoted up to Harrisburg, right? Which stunk because we liked him and liked watching him because he's so good. But he's on social media a lot, and so is Abbie. So they, kind of talked every once in a while. And then later in that season, he was selected to play in the Futures game for Team USA. Each professional team sends usually 2 players, and he was one of the ones that the Nationals selected. The Futures game is held during the same time as the AllStar Game, the same weekend, and it happened to be in D.C., so we decided that we were going to go. We went up there, got tickets, got there early, walked in, and we were stunned with the amount of autographed people that were there, right? I guess it's just a big place for them to go, and made it harder for her to get down up front or to try to get his attention. Well, she was worried about that, right? Worried about trying to find him and have him come over. She just wanted a picture with him. And so we get up there, we're down, we go down to the Nationals dugout. There's not a lot of autographed people there because there's fences and stuff there, netting, so you can't get autographs there. There's still people there not realizing you can't, still trying though. So we're standing there, and out comes Carter to take batting practice, and everybody's screaming his name, Carter, Carter, and Abbie says Carter, and he must have recognized her voice because he turned around, right? Which was cool to her. Turned around, looked at her, and she waved, and she said, hey, can we get a picture later? And he said, yeah. So he went and did his batting practice, came back, looked at her, and was like, hey, let's go to the right, because everybody's down to the left, and there's a door over to the right that kind of goes onto the field, but we couldn't get over there, right? And so he's like, okay, let's go down here, right? Which must have been tough for him because there was, hundreds of people down there asking for autographs, And so he sacrificed for her. He went down there and signed a whole bunch of autographs. So because he started down there, because I think he realized if he kind of just came to where, a place for them to take a picture would be, is they would all just come there. So he went down there, signed some autographs, and as he said, hey, let's go over there, Abbie flipped out, right? So she just kind of started running through the seats and climbing over seats, and she ended up kicking some lady's big huge soda over. I was mortified. I was like, "Oh, do you want me to go get you another one?" And she's like, "No, it's okay." She's really cool about it. I think she saw how excited Abbie was, right? So, you know, if she was there, she's probably a baseball fan, maybe a parent or of a player or something. So, you know, she recognized it, and she was really cool about it. So Abbie eventually got to a place, you know, there was still a ton of people, weren't sure where to go. And then there was one place there that was kind of all by itself, and so she just kind of went and stood there, and Carter signed, and sure enough, he came over to her, gave her a hug. We talked for a minute. They took a great picture. It's one of my favorite pictures. You know, and that moment for him to be able to, you know, do all that and to just, you know, take the time to come take a picture with her, you know, and recognize her voice and stuff, that was awesome. It was awesome to me. It was awesome to her, for him to do that at that big of a moment for him, right? Because that's a big deal. The Futures Game's a big deal. It's an AllStar Game. So, you know, we watch him play. You know, the season's progressing. He's with Harrisburg now. In the last game of the season, Harrisburg happened to be finishing down at Richmond, right? So we went. It was also Carter's birthday. Abbie had, you know, sent him a message on some social media platform saying, you know, happy birthday, and we'll be at the game, right? Didn't know if he saw it, didn't, you know anything, right? But we went to the game. A lot of people there, right? Because a lot of people wanted to get his attention, get his autograph. So we're there, get there, find out he's not playing. So Abbie's a little crushed because there's a chance that he might not come out at all, right, and warm up, right? If he didn't see the post, he didn't even know we were there, right? So we're there, there's a ton of people there, you know, hard for Abbie to get up front, so we just kind of went way down the third base line between, you know, third base and left field out there. We're standing there, you know, talking to some of the players that we had, you know, known from Potomac, and then all of a sudden you hear everybody start screaming his name, Carter, 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 and then he walks out and just walks right by them all, right, and comes right over to Abbie, gives her a hug, starts talking to her, and then pulls out these things. Right there. That's his game use gloves, right? His batting gloves. He pulled them out, signed it to Abbie, and gave it to her, right? And it was awesome because everybody there was like, what the heck just happened? And, you know, for Abbie, well, let's go back to the Futures Game. When he came over and took that picture, it was another like click moment for her, right? Where she became a super fan of Carter. She was always a fan, right? Of course. But that was like a super fan moment, you know? And so for him to give her those gloves, it was an awesome moment for her. You know, they took another picture there and he signed, you know, her picture, and we talked for a while and, you know, wished him good luck, and it was just a great moment, right? For her, for me, you know, and it was another, you know, stepping stone to Carter's, you know, ascension to the top of her, you know, player list, right? Because he's definitely there. So, you know, the season's over at that point. Abbie goes into her depression, her winter depression. I think he went to the Arizona Fall League, so we got to follow him there a little bit. And then we decided that we were going to go to spring training. You know, she'd built some good relationships with players, you know, and decided that, you know, we're going to go down there and see what it's like, which was awesome, right? So we're down there. You know, spring training's awesome because you get to walk and there's just everybody is there. You know, we got to see all the players we knew from Potomac, which was awesome. And then we bought tickets to the game. We hadn't seen Carter at that point, and so we're out on the right field line, just waiting there. And Carter comes out to warm up, and he sees her, right? He sees her, and instantly it's like, hey, it came over and gave her a hug and talked. And I mean, that was just an awesome moment for her, man. Because it'd been a while, right? And he was genuinely excited to see her, genuinely, right? And she could tell, and I could tell, and it was just an awesome moment. He warmed up, gave her a ball, which we have back there. Yeah, and that was just like the start of the spring training trip, which was awesome. We saw him a couple more times, saw Spencer, saw a lot of the players we knew, right? Awesome trip. It was an awesome trip. But the bad news is he was getting assigned to Fresno, which was soul crushing, right? We knew it was going to happen, but Fresno was the Nationals' new AAA affiliate, and it's in California. They used to be the Syracuse Chiefs. They got bought by the Mets. They used to, when they were the Chiefs, they would come down to Norfolk or whatever, so you could see them. Not anymore. Abbie constantly looked up, where they were playing. Hey, they're in Tennessee. Can we go to Tennessee? And she asked me to fly to California. I don't know how many times. No, we're not doing that. So the season's going. Abbie tweets or hits him on Instagram every once in a while, and he, always responds. It's always really good to her on Instagram. Like, at one point, he was doing like a ask me questions type thing or something, and he posted a picture of him and her and put #1 fan on it. And it was awesome. For her, for me, because she is his #1 fan, right? Yeah, it was just really awesome for her. She was so excited about that. But anyway, so as the season's going, the Futures game comes up again, and Carter gets selected to play in the Futures game again by the Nationals. The 2 players. And turns out that the Futures game was in Cleveland. My wife is from Strongsville, and my mother-in-law lives up in Strongsville, which is right outside of Cleveland. And instantly she's like, "How can we go?" I was like, that's a long way to go for, the chance of possibly seeing him, because it's a big game. It's AllStar game, and there's a chance that, he may not even see her or whatever. But eventually she talked me into it because I'm a sucker. And I wanted to go too. I like Carter, and I like baseball. I like being there. So we went, drove up there, got tickets. I got there a little earlier this time to try to get in there earlier because we remembered how many people were at the Nationals one. So we got up there, got inside. She went down, by the USA side. Dugout was down there. They come out and start warming up. They may have actually even been out there warming up already. They're coming back in. Carter sees her, right? Comes walking over. Everybody is screaming for him again, comes over, gives her a hug, talks to her, basically doesn't ignore everybody else, right? Of course, but just is solely focused on her to the point where they gave up asking him because they knew he was talking to her and got to talk to him. And they got another picture there, another great picture. So he goes and does his batting practice and all that. We're just watching, and then, Abbie stayed down there. And then all of a sudden he comes back over again, but he goes to the people right next to her, and it was his parents. So they talked, and then he said hi to her again and left. And then Abbie ended up talking to his parents for a while. And then I talked to him, I got introduced to him by Abbie. Talked to him, great people. And then we met Carter Kieboom, his brother, who is also his agent. Awesome dude. He's so funny, and had a good conversation, he's like, "Oh, I saw you guys down there with Carter," and he said something to the effect, Carter's got his people, and he insinuated that Abbie was one of his people. That was awesome for her, right? To be one of his people, it was awesome. If that day would have ended right there, it'd have been incredible, right? The game's played. Carter has a great game. Nice hit, amazing play. It was awesome to be there for that. And then after the game, she wanted to go back out. We actually, before the game had ended, our tickets were initially in left field, and we got all the way down to the front row behind the dugout. We're sitting there watching, and as the game ends, she says bye to Carter. I think Carter may have went and talked to his parents, and she just kind of wanted to hang out and just thank him one more time. And as he came over, she's like, hey, thank you for everything. And he's like, hey, come down here. And so we walked down, or she did. She walked down at the end of the dugout, right away from everybody else. And he said, thanks for coming. And he pulled these out, gave them to the security guard, and gave to her right here. These are the batting gloves that he wore during the Futures game, right? Yeah. So, gave it to her and thanked her. And, I've seen Abbie happy. I've seen Abbie happy hundreds, thousands of times, right? I've seen her extremely happy, but never in my life have I seen her that happy. I thought her face was going to explode from her smile. I mean, I'm going to try to post a picture here of it. She was so excited. Those are special gloves, right? I mean, it's basically his AllStar Game gloves that he wore. And, for him to take the time to do that and remember her and thank her for coming, right? I mean, that was an awesome moment for her. It was a perfect day. It was a perfect day. Yeah, gosh, it was just a great day. And so the Futures game ended, he goes back out to Fresno. We're there, still going to Peanuts games. And then where are we going? We were driving to maybe the Peanuts game, and I had my phone or whatever, and I got the notification that he got called up, right? Happy, super happy for him. And I handed the phone to Abbie, and she just started bawling. She literally started bawling. I tried to record a little bit of it. It was probably dumb because I was driving, but like bawling, right? I mean, that's how much he means to her. Like she's such a fan of Carter Kieboom, the person, right? Great baseball player. She's a fan, but just of him, right? She started crying. And instantly was like, hey, can we go to the game? And I think we had a volleyball match, so we couldn't go, right? I'm a coach, she's a player, couldn't go. It was a hard choice, but we ended up being able to go the next night. And this is his second professional game. It's a big night for him, right? And we were talking to him before the game a little bit, and she asked me to get a picture. He said, yeah, and he warmed up, and then, the attendant there saw us talking to Carter, and he kind of knows us. We've only been there a few times, but he recognizes us. So he kind of let us come down onto the field a little bit. Not onto the field, but to the a place they don't normally let people go, down by the dream seats. And Carter came up, and they took a picture together. In his second major league start, he took the time to do that for her, right? And that's like, every time he's had the opportunity to do something like that, he's always come through and always done it, right? I don't mean come through like, it's dependent on him to do it. He just did it because that's the type of person he is. And those memories and those pictures that we have of Carter, and for him to, give her those gloves and just, recognize her on social media, as his number one fan. And it's just been an awesome experience for her and for me, and that's why Carter will always be, one of my favorites. I think I root for him, as about as hard as I've rooted for anybody in my life. I want him to succeed so bad because he deserves it. And I know he will, because that's just the type of player he is. So we actually we're going down to spring training this season to see him. As that didn't happen. We went down there for one day and had to come back, which sucked. But I hope and pray that this season gets, played this year, even if it's just a little bit of it, so we can go up and see him. Because I just miss watching him play, and miss watching Abbie meet him again. So that's my Carter Kieboom story, and I just thank you, Carter, for everything that you've done for her, for me, and that's it. Thanks.